whereby they could pass each other in the middle of the lake and land at one landing. And so they operated them that year, two ferries running back and forth across at Stow.
Now what year was this, Art?
24.
1924.
Yeah.
That was when Elton Ball had it, right?
Yeah, Elton Ball had it from before 1900 until he died in 42.
What were we running the ferry with? Did we have an engine on it at the time?
At that time,
At 1924?
the new one that he brought up from Celeron, that had an engine in the middle, and it had three cables. It had one on each side as guide cable like we do now. Then it had another cable in the center, and that was wound over a drum on the motor, and this pulled the ferry back and forth across. It worked, but not terribly well, because the ferry, when you wind something around a drum and then turn it, it'll travel across the drum from one side to the other, and it was a problem. It was a problem.
Art, why don't you go right back to the start of the ferry, when it started in 1811 there with, it actually started 4 or 5 years earlier than that with logs and a rope and things. Kind of give them the original history of it. I think that's very interesting.
Definitely.
Pardon?
Definitely.
Yeah, well, the Bemus family moved into the Narrows. Tom went off on the west side, and the rest of the family stayed on the east side at Bemus, what's now Bemus Point. They did that in 1806. Well, of course, they had to have some way of getting back and forth across. They used rafts and canoes to go back and forth across. Pretty soon the neighbors found out about this, so they had Tom help them get their stuff back and forth across. But officially, the ferry was licensed by the Chautauqua County Court of Common Pleas in 1811, and he was allowed to, he was allowed to keep a ferry at the Narrows. He was allowed to charge 6 1/4 cents for a person, 17 3/4 cents for a horse and rider, and 37 1/2 cents for a wagon or a buggy.
Can I stop you 1 minute? We get a long distance call here from New York City, I would expect. Good morning, Reed.
Well, good morning, Randy. How's the show doing?
Oh, the show's going great.
I hear you talking about the cost of a rider.
Yeah, no, I bet you're paying 25 cents for this cruise you're going on, aren't you?
At least.
Per person or for family?
We're taking, actually, I'm going with my good wife, Cheney, and then we're going to take a second cruise. We do a back-to-back. Right back out again with my daughter and her family. So it looks like it's going to be a one gala occasion, and we're about ready to head into New York now. We're on Long Island right now.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful out here, too.
Well, what's the weather going to be for these cruises? They're going to miss those hurricanes, aren't they?
Well, let's hope not. If they ever have a hurricane, these great giant cruise ships cruise around the hurricane, believe it or not.
Well, we're talking about the Bemus Point Stow Ferry, Reed. From what I've seen about your ship you're going on, you're almost the same length as crossing the ferry there at Bemus.
They're literally about 1/5 of a mile long.
And we figured it's 996 feet across at Bemus, and your ship's 966 feet. So
now the ship is over 1,000 feet long.
Oh my gosh!
And so you could actually lay it on either shore and just walk across from now on.
That'd take all our fun away.
Well, once in a while they dump these ships, so rather than scuttling them, they should just take them up there and put them across there, so you can do away with all the nonsense. Just walk across.
A big cruise ship. I bet Bemus would like that. They could have some parties on that.
Well, you could have a hell of a time because these ships have about 100. Let's see, I think pretty close to 1,000 rooms on each one.
Wow. We could shut down every motel in Chautauqua County.
We could.
And just set up one place. Everybody
they have about 8 restaurants on board and about a dozen bars, so they'll fit right in with the area.
So yeah, it sounds like you're going to have a good time. You are so lucky. This time you're going on Carnival Cruise?
Yes, we're taking Carnival Miracle, and believe me, the price is right. People don't understand how cheap it is to cruise these days. But you can take 2 people on a cruise for $1,200, and that's an 8-day cruise. I'm telling you, you can't even take a motel in New York for that.
Oh, I know.
And you live like you have total house cleaning every day, and you have an incredible situation for food. You have a dozen restaurants to pick from. Usually a lot of them, and each one is it's white glove service. They're fantastic, gourmet food and everything. 3 times a day, 6 times a day. Some of them open all night long.
I got a question now. You're leaving New York and you're going to the Bahamas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you have other stops on the way, don't you?
Oh, yeah, we stop at some of the little islands along the way. Tortuga is one of them, and Nassau is another. And we can get off Nassau, and you can go to the computer immediately. There's a computer cafe within about a 5-minute walk from the ship.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reed, when you get to Nassau, go over to Paradise Island.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
I can't remember the casino, but out back you can get a parasailing ride.
Well, actually the Paradise Island, it has a underground tunnel that goes under a huge aquarium with giant sharks and rays and fish and all kinds of things in it. It's a fascinating place. Of course, it's expensive. It's pricey.
Well, you just watch out for that sunburn, because the last time I was there, I fried.
Well, I always wear a cap to shade my face, and I bring along a long-sleeve light shirt because I don't want to get all burned on my arm.
Oh, and then jump in the hot tub after. Don't do that.
Yeah, well, this is the equator down here, and it's pretty mighty hot, believe me.
Well, we hope you have a good trip.
Well, I'll be calling in from the ship as we progress down the shore or down into the South Sea Islands, and it'll be fun.
Okay, well, you guys have a good trip.
Well, you too, and thanks for doing the show, and I hope everything goes well.
Well, thank you.
Okay, Randy.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, Art, I'm sorry. Back to you here. Can you remember where we were here?
Yeah, we were talking about the prices they charged. This the half cents, of course. I believe the Canadians and the British Isles still have what they call a halfpenny, but the 3/4 cents and the 1/4 cents, nobody's been able to account for this. Even the coin dealers can't figure it out. The ferry that he rode across was just a crude wooden raft, similar to what Tom Sawyer used to use. Rowing anything across the Narrows there, especially in a high wind, it seems almost impossible to me. It was a problem, and finally about the 1820s they tied a rope from one side to the other and then ran this rope through pillars on the ferry, and that at least kept the ferry on course while they rowed it across.
Yeah, because there's quite a current right there.
Yeah, there is a current.
Right in that area. I've noticed a lot of boats that their engines quit. They head right towards the Bemus ferry landing, and
eventually they ended up with a wheel that the rope passed over, and then they had a hand crank on the wheel, geared hand crank, and this wheel pulled the ferry back and forth across, and that's the way it operated. For quite a while, from about 1830 until about 1900. Although by 1900 the rope had been replaced with a cable, and the wheel was a little different for this purpose. Of course, the big problem with the rope and the cable Well, there wasn't any problem until 1828, and then the steamboat Chautauqua